At this time, I would like to call to order the City of Bowie regular City Council meeting on Monday, May 19th, 2025 in council chambers at 8:05. At this time, I would like everyone who is able to stand as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam City Clerk, would you confirm that we have a quorum this evening?
Yes, Mayor, we do have a quorum present in chambers. We have Councilmember Estev, Councilmember Rogers, Mayor Pro Tem Wolfley, Mayor Adams, Councilmember Brady, Councilmember Truesdale, and Councilmember Ndebumadu.
Thank you. At this time, I will open the floor to my fellow council members if there are any agenda additions, deletions, or amendments. Hearing none, we'll move forward. At this time, we will open it up for citizen participation. Thank you. And we have Valerie Yancey. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Adams, City Council members. My name is Valerie Hall Yancey, and I stood before you on February 18th of this year to provide testimony on the atrocities that were occurring under the leadership of Ms. Waller, who took the office of President of the Bowie Community Media Corporation in 2023. I want to first thank the city for its consideration of the issue and in listening to the voices of the BCMC members who are also residents of Bowie. It is truly a testament of good government by and for the people. I understand now that the city has provided a proposal to take over the management of BCMC, and that is why I'm here before you today, because I want to provide my thoughts on the city's proposal. As I mentioned in February, I am the immediate past president of the Bowie Community Media Corporation, having served from 2017 through 2023. During my testimony in February, I represented before this body the leadership concerns of several BCMC current and past members, which prompted me to bring those concerns to city management and ultimately to this body. On April 21st, I received a notice from the city on its proposed budget for FY 2026, which included a recommendation from the city to bring the operations of the public access channel in-house. The notification went on to say the city's recommendation was not intended to eliminate Bowie's public access channel and that it remained committed to maintaining this platform for the residents of Bowie. The notice went on to say that a studio coordinator position would be created to oversee the scheduling, support producers, provide training, and expand studio operating hours. To the latter point, producers have complained for years about not having enough studio time and training and ability to rent equipment, so that was music to everyone's ears who read that in the communication that went out. With regard to bringing the management of BCMC in-house, it is my hope that the city has considered all aspects of managing BCMC to include outreach efforts, to engage Bowie school programs, to enlist their students in programming to be highlighted on the channel, soliciting Bowie business owners to advertise on the channel, maintaining our carbon footprint via our website, but most significant of all, being a marketing vehicle so that people can draw attention to the channel and bring those viewers to BCMC. Although I saw a mention of bringing in a studio coordinator, it seemed to be more of a technical staff hire, and I'm hoping the things that I listed earlier in terms of operational points are also considered as part of the decision to bring BCMC in-house. If we have all that covered, my only other question is how does this new structure ensure producers are given a voice in the decisions that impact them and how they produce content for the community? There was no form suggested or representative body proposed that would provide an avenue to weigh in on management, channel content, or outlier resources that would impact us directly. So within our current structure and through our bylaws, we have the ability to direct and support decisions managed by the BCMC board. This ability was threatened by the current leadership, and we want to ensure it is not threatened again. To that point, we would like the city to consider establishing an advisory board made up of community stakeholders to include producers to provide feedback to the city on operational and content decisions. There are several municipalities with PEG components that include an advisory board as part of their governance structure. The city utilizes an advisory structure through established city committees, of which I've served on a few of them myself, so I know that those collaborations can yield positive outcomes. All said, I applaud the city's proposal to add a studio coordinator, to expand studio services, and I also support redirecting the administrative management functions of BCM to the city as long as those things are considered. Is my time up? I know I messed that up the last time. I'm hopeful that the city will consider adding an advisory board to the proposed structure. And again, I thank you for your time and consideration on this very, very important area of concern. And thank you especially, Councilmember Dennis Brady, for your support.
Thank you very much. Okay, since there are no other citizen participation, we will move on now to presentations. And we would like to do the adoption and presentation of Proclamation P 15-25, congratulating the Bowie Bulldogs on winning the 2025 PGCBGC 12 and under girls basketball playoff tournament.
Mr. Mayor, I want to make a motion. Oh. Okay. No, sir.
Mr. Mayor?
Go right away.
I move that we adopt the Proclamation P 1525, congratulating the Bowie Bulldogs on winning the 2025 Prince George's County Boys and Girls Clubs 12 and under girls basketball playoff tournament.
Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please respond with an aye. Aye. Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, the motion carries. So at this time, I'd like to read the proclamation. And the City of Bowie, Maryland, a proclamation of the Council of the City of Bowie, Maryland, congratulating the Bowie Bulldogs on winning the 2025 PGCBGC 12 and under girls tournament playoff tournament. Whereas the Bowie Bulldogs 12 and under girls basketball team has completed an exciting and successful season, showcasing their talent, teamwork, and love for the game. And whereas these athletes commendably represented the City of Bowie in championship play, competing with focus, effort, and sportsmanship. And whereas with the guidance and support of their head coach, Hampton, and assistant coach Pittman, the team worked hard, stayed committed, and achieved their goals. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Council of the City of Bowie, Maryland, congratulates the Bowie Bulldogs 12 and under girls basketball team, their coaches, and families. the City Council presents this proclamation as a token of recognition for their impressive performance this season. Adopted and presented by the Council of the City of Bowie, Maryland at a regular meeting on May 19, 2025, signed Timothy J. Adams, Mayor. Congratulations. We would love for you to come forward. We're going to have them all. Please, everybody come forward. Let's come down with the picture. Everybody on the team.
Staff too, and
Everybody on the team.
Turn around. Side by side, shoulder to shoulder. Shoulder to shoulder. I think we're front of that to see my.
We're gonna put you guys towards the center. We're gonna put the players towards the center.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Get somewhere. All right, Coach.
I got you. I got you. Hey, y'all ladies, come on. Hey, y'all, what's your yes. Come on, get my side.
Show them how we're there.
Yeah, show the ring, ladies. Come on, yeah, there we go.
Where's mine?
Let's get down to the
Family,
Come on,
everybody
family.
come on up.
It take a village. Come on, ladies. Come on, ladies. And moms, dads, come on. Come on. Bring someone up.
Everybody, come on.
Come on.
It's because of you this was possible as well.
Come on. We got, hey, they bring the practice and we appreciate them. Yeah, come on in.
Come on. Everybody come on in. Hey,
So you know you want to get in the picture.
come on. Get on in here. Brother Epps, why don't you join us as well?
Come on.
It's a place where we make sure it can be seen. Okay. Yeah.
Go, we look good. We look good. We look good.
Hold on 1 second. Hey, I would be remiss. Hold for 1 second if you would. Okay.
Andreas, slide to your left.
All right. I would like to say, hold on, everybody, for 1 second. I would like to make sure that I acknowledge the former executive director of Omega Psi Phi fraternity, Brother John Epps. Brother Epps, would you wave your hand to him? Thank you for being here. All right. Give me that.
Go ahead. You got to give it back. You got to give it back, though. It's been
I'm teasing.
I know it's been one mantle, though. Okay.
Hey. All right. Hey, congratulations. Ladies. Let me get a hand spin. Congratulations.
Appreciate your comments, acknowledgement. Appreciate your comments. Appreciate your
congratulations. Yeah. Thank you.
Come on through, there's plenty of room. It's like,
At this time, we will move on to city boards and committees. Mr. Joseph Puccio was interviewed on May 5th, 2025 for appointment to the Board of Elections. Council concurred to appoint him to the committee as a regular member for a 2-year term. I will open the floor now for a motion
so
to
moved.
appoint.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we appoint this candidate. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, the motion carries. Congratulations. Come on up. And I hope I didn't do a bad job on your name.
Joseph,
Keep coming.
Joseph was good.
You're gonna have to do a, yeah,
Puccio, Joseph Puccio.
Puccio.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand? I state your name.
I, Joseph Puccio,
Do swear or affirm
do swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will
and that I will
be faithful and bear true allegiance
be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws thereof,
and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of
execute the office of
member of, and state the,
regular member of the Board of Elections,
okay, according to the Constitution
according to the Constitution
and laws of this state.
and laws of this state.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please come forward. Come up by us. I would like to commend you for your willingness to serve, because it is good to see citizens participating and helping to keep Bowie the city that it is, and a shining beacon for all the others. So at this time, we will present you with your certificate of appointment, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor.
Congratulations, thanks again, very much appreciated.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We're gonna put you to use.
Okay. Thank you.
All righty. We will now move on to council announcements. There are two that I'd like to give out first. Inviting everyone to participate in our Memorial Day Parade. Please come out and enjoy. It's a great time for everyone. And secondly, I just want to let the people know that we, as a council, are looking at the purchase of the Regal Theater property. So having said that, I will move on to any other announcements. Hearing none, we'll now move on to the city manager's report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I have no report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to approve the consent agenda.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please respond with an aye. Aye. Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, motion carries. We will now move on to old business as the adoption of amended ordinance 0-425, the amended resolution R-1825, adoption of fiscal year 2026 budget and fiscal years 2026 through 2031 capital improvements program. Do we have any?
Well, Mr. Mayor, after 5 grueling budget sessions and numerous discussions, there's not much, but I do have a bit of a summary for you before I hand it over to you all for a vote. When you look at what was proposed in April, there was a decrease in the general fund by $584,400 and a increase in the capital project fund usage by $240,000 based on the adjustments that the council made during the review, those 5 work session reviews. And that's what the total numbers will reflect. So at this point, sir, unless anybody has any questions of us, I'm here requesting that we approve the budget and move on, and that will be my flight plan for the next year.
Okay, I will take a point of personal privilege at this moment. And to my colleagues, before we move forward on this agenda item, I would like to bring forward a motion for consideration concerning the city's capital improvement program spending. As you all know, we currently have multiple ongoing CIP projects, some of which carry significant financial commitments. At the same time, the city is also exploring other potential items that can be of a substantial investment that will affect our overall capital strategy. In light of this, and in our responsibility to ensure fiscal discipline and transparency, I believe it is both prudent and necessary for this council to pause and fully assess where we are financially and contractually with each active CIP project. Though most of these things have been answered in grueling detail as we have worked through the budget. Therefore, upon this, though, I move that the City Council suspend all further expenditures from capital improvement program funds effective immediately until the Council has received and reviewed a comprehensive report on all current CIP projects and potential spending. This report should include the status, scope, cost to date, remaining budget, funding sources, any legal or contractual obligations, known risks, and projected timelines for each project. Again, stating that most of this has been done gruelingly through the budget process. I am also requesting that the report include an assessment of how our current and planned CIP spending may affect the city's bond rating, especially as viewed by rating agencies, given our intent to potentially finance other capital purchases in the near future. The purpose of this motion, I repeat, the purpose of this motion is not to cancel any project, but to simply ensure the council has full visibility into our obligation and explore and before proceeding with any additional commitments. Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. I'll open it for discussion. Councilmember Steve.
I think I understand the intent. I do feel that we've spent the last 2 months doing exactly this exercise in pretty significant detail. I think if anyone has any outstanding questions they feel aren't answered, they have opportunities to talk to staff about that. But all the CIPs are in our budget. They're listed in great detail. And we have spent the last several weeks going through everything. So I'm not prepared to move forward with this particular motion.
Okay. Councilmember Wolfley.
I will echo the comments of my colleague, Councilmember Stev. we just went through what you asked or what you're looking for, which was we just went through an entire budget process that includes a review of the current CIP for the status of projects as they stand right now, as well as the CIP for the coming fiscal year, as well as the CIP for everything out to, I think, like 2035 or 40 or something along those lines. And it was done as part of this process that we call the budget process. So I think everything in there is well known, and we've had an opportunity for any follow-ups for any issues or concerns. The budget is what it is, and that's what the process is for. And so I think I would hope that we've fulfilled everybody's queries and certainly had the opportunity to put forth any other questions should they have been necessary at the time.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilmember Rogers?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just have a question of clarification. So can you clarify basically what your objective is? And I know you talked about it a little bit more, but what specifically are you concerned about that you want to cease?
Well, I think as we have made, and I'm trying to keep this as as I can, we have made other decisions now that potential decisions that could impact our financial status, potentially. And we have not been able to have that as part of the discussions as we've done with the budget. Those decisions were made after the budget was developed. So with that in mind, I think it's important for transparency and for us to make sure we understand the implications, all of the implications, that we give our finance director simply a time to give us a detailed report of how all of this works together and what the potential impacts are to us. So again, I stated in there, this is not to stop any of the projects that are included right now in our budget, but simply to pause any spending or anything we're going to do until we give Mr. Byron Matthews and the city manager a chance to give us a full report on what that will have to do with our finances as a city. We have not been able to get that. We haven't had that. And I'd like for us, for transparency purposes, we as a council to make sure we look at that so that we can make a very prudent decision and one that includes all the factors. Any other questions? Any other comments? And that's simply what this is, a pause. Councilmember Brady?
Thank you. A lot of, in my mind and my experience, a lot of what you are raising is the whole purpose of what we've done for the last 5 weeks for the most part. And I have a question of staff before I continue. Once we adopt the budget, once we adopt the resolution for the CIP, is it set in stone, or can we change things based upon additional information if we realize it, say, in 2 months or 4 months?
Well, once you pass the budget, and including the CIP, that gives us the go-ahead to execute the project. But in most cases, in all cases that I can think of, there would end up being a contract negotiation and a representation of that to you, like we did with the ice rink. Mm-hmm. So the ice rink was approved. It was a project we worked on, but it wasn't official until you approved the contract.
Right.
So we would have to authorize to go spending money. So there are in all cases some sort of acquisition process down the line where if you wanted to stop the project, you could do it then. However, you could always amend the budget any point during the fiscal year specifically to stop or to delete or add a project.
Right.
So you have that ability.
So it is not absolutely set in stone. We do supplemental
No.
appropriations
You
constantly.
can,
So-
right, correct.
So I would, and the second question is, when do we have to adopt the budget as far as getting the tax information down to the county?
We need to do that tonight. So
do
that we
that
can,
tonight.
so that we have certain deadlines by the end of the month where we have to, or sooner, where we have to get information to the state of Maryland so we can be a part of that whole process. And so this is the time to do it.
Okay. So we kind of are up against the wall on
No,
this
can
issue.
I answer the question for you though a little more fully?
Go ahead, yes.
If,
Go ahead.
with permission. Well, the thing I want you to understand is we will be moving on to the budget right after this and potentially doing the approval or disapproval of the budget. That will come after this. All I'm asking for is that we put a pause until giving the city manager and our finance director a week, or if they think any more than that, but I think most of the legwork has already been done. But a chance for us to get all the financial data on all the things we're talking about doing, some which have come up since we did the budget. And all I'm asking for is a pause on the spending and give us a chance until we look at that, then we decide. So we can move forward on passing the budget without impacting in any way tonight what we're doing. We can go forward with that, but I just want to have a motion that we truly, as a council, have all the information and the transparency that we need to see exactly what all of the implications are of what we've decided to do. And much of this has been done as we work through these projects. So I'm not asking, nor did I recommend that we remove anything from our budget. I'm just asking a pause on our spending until we get some feedback, and then we make another decision from our financial manager of the total picture of what all the things we're talking about doing could do. That's all, just a pause.
I can appreciate that, but I'm a little confused about pausing because we are currently in FY25. This budget doesn't take effect for another 6 to 8 weeks. So
And
are we pausing a document that doesn't go into effect for another 2 months?
I'm asking you just to pause for right now. That we pause and we get Byron to be able to give us that information. Because the information we get will go past not just what we're doing this year, they also give us information going into next year. And so that's all I'm asking is just a pause that we can have our financial manager actually give us a complete look at what we're talking about doing financially and get his feedback on the possible impacts, particularly to our bond rating, as we just saw the state of Maryland bond rating go down. So I just want us to have all the information, and then we just make a decision.
Can I ask you?
Yes, go, Councilwoman.
So, Mr.
I'm sorry, hold on, Councilwoman.
No, go ahead. I want to,
Are you okay?
I want to hear from her.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman, go ahead.
Thank you very much. So just to be very clear, can your proposal be amended to include a time frame, like a week or two?
Yes.
My concern is
Yes, we can do it for a week. I would simply
Okay.
ask Byron and the city manager how long it would take them to do it.
And let me ask another question. So are we looking at specific expenditures? And that's why I'm asking. I know that you made the announcement earlier about the looking at the purchase of the Regal Theater. So are we talking about the Regal Theater and the ice rink? Are we very specific in what we're talking about? And if
Yes.
so, I think we need to be transparent around that as well. And if
Okay.
so, then if we could put a time frame around it, then maybe it's more clarity to it.
Right.
Thank you.
I will say that as we look at other items, as you mentioned, and look at those costs, the impacts, I am not talking about stopping anything or removing anything from the current CIP unless we as a council believe we need to do something because of the risk that it may put us in overall financially as a city, including all issues that we're looking at. So again, so nobody mistakes this. This is not a recommendation to stop anything that is in the budget, as I've said 3 or 4 times now. That is not. It is just to make sure we have a true, clear picture, allow our finance director and the city manager to give us a true, clear picture of the potential of where we're going as we do our spending, and then move forward. All we will do is get that report, we will look at it, and we, as a council, will still just make a decision, just move forward, we're good where we are, or what we would like to do. That's all, and it's just a pause. I would like to not put them on the spot, but I will ask city manager or Mr. Matthews, how long would that take you to be able to do for us?
Well, I just need to make sure I understand what you would want us to be able to come back and talk to you about. You would want each CIP project, a status, how much we plan to spend, and where the money's coming from, plus you want that. Is that true? You want that on each?
We will have that already. That's pretty much all done in the budget.
Correct.
We spent weeks just pouring over that. So I'm saying that is not what I'm doing. But I would like to include all of the things we're looking at spending money on, included to see what impact that combined with what we have in the budget, where we would be, so that we could have a clear picture of everything. The big picture of everything we've now talked about, since some items were talked about after we did the budget.
Okay, so I'll make sure I got it. So you want a financial assessment prepared by the finance director and blessed by me, said that assesses the CIP spending, including the proposed spending for the Regal Theater.
Yes.
And what impact it will have on our financial situation, including our bond rating based on my CPA's professional opinions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. That's all it is. That's what it is. And again, I say to you, city manager, as I have to everyone else, we are not removing anything out of the budget this time. And we will go on and we will address the budget right now. Well, if we can get this motion, and we're doing discussion, but.
We can have that ready by June, by the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so, well, Bob informed me that we would need to get our financial advisor involved to speak to the rating, and so I'd have to get back to you on when she could be available. I suspect in June or early July for sure, but
could we get the date of when our next council meeting is? June 2nd. The 2nd, right?
2nd of June, yes.
Do you think you could have it by then?
Well, we'll have to, I don't know. We'll have.
I'll make that contact, Mayor. I can't promise someone else's time, but I will make that contact first thing tomorrow morning. She's currently working on the ice arena schedule for the bond issuance, so.
Okay.
I'll have to bring that into play as well.
Okay, but you think that can?
It's possible, if she's available, and if not, we'll let you all know.
Yeah, and so, thank you. So my motion is just that for the next, and include as part of that motion that we review that before or get it prior to the next council meeting, and at that time or around that time, and then we can decide where we go from there, just go down and continue as we are, or after we've had a look, just have a chance to assess it. Go ahead, Councilmember Dufour.
Thank you. I again want to go back to the fact that each one of these items has been addressed individually and in toto. We understand the decisions that were made. the body as a whole voted in favor of moving forward with all of these projects, to include the ice arena, for example, and we're moving forward with the bond ratings and everything else. There is no way of knowing exactly what's going to happen with the bond rating. I will say this, though, bond ratings are based on the efficient professional management of a city, and we need to maintain our standards and our commitments to our timelines. And there should not be any ambiguities about what we just went through an entire budget process, and then to come back and say that we've got missing data, which we don't. We know what the implications are, and we need to, soldier on. And to Councilmember Brady's comment earlier, there's ample opportunity down the road after we approve this budget and the CIP to make any necessary changes that any market conditions would warrant us making. So if in 6 weeks or 4 weeks or 9 months or whatever it happens to be, we need to make a change because of market circumstances, or we feel that we're not going to get the revenue we think we are, or whatever else might be occurring, we have that opportunity at that time. But right now, we have all the information that's available. There is nothing new. I think it's just an errand to go and look at all the numbers that we already have for this, and we need to stick with our process. And just because there are a couple of people who voted against something and now want to revisit, I don't think that's appropriate.
Councilmember, that's totally inappropriate. Totally inappropriate.
That is
totally inappropriate.
That is
for you to say that.
It is
because
my point.
That is not the case.
That is my point.
You
exactly.
may not
It
agree.
is
Please
inappropriate.
do not talk over me. I have the floor. I am the chair.
The chair
You need to
spoke
stop.
over me when it was my floor.
You said you were done.
What do you have to add?
Are you okay now? I will say that it is totally inappropriate for any council member to be disrespectful to other council member, to tell them to say publicly that we're doing something just out of spite. That is not the case here. We are talking about transparency, above all, amongst ourselves, as well as to our constituents. You have not had our city finance manager present any report that shows all of the implications of all of the spending we're talking about, particularly those spending after we did the budget. That is not true. That is not the information. We have not received that. And that's what I'm asking for. And for you to imply that any of us are doing what we do, what we feel is in the best interest of the city, just because you don't think we liked how a vote went, I think you belittle this council, and particularly myself. And I am opposed to any of us on this council treating each other with that kind of disrespect. Now, having said that, I will move on. Any questions? And this will be the last question. Go ahead, Councilman.
It's not exactly a question, but I need to discuss this a little further. I don't necessarily disagree with your desire to get additional information, especially when it comes to the transparency aspect. Some of what you're asking for really is better provided in an executive session, not public. A lot of other information can be done publicly, and I don't have a problem with doing what's appropriate in public, but really, and maybe we ought to take this under advisement for future budgets. Maybe this discussion ought to be held in March before we even get into the budget, as part of the mid-year budget review, to start looking at our finances, looking at the impacts of what we're looking to add to the upcoming budget. So it's worthwhile in that sense, but I'm troubled because we're on the eve of adopting the budget and adopting the CIP, and I'm a little confused when you talk about suspending payments for CIP items, because we're in the current fiscal year, which doesn't have anything to do with this. but I can understand the concern that we are spending a lot of money and we need to make sure that we don't negatively impact our credit rating. So I think the best solution tonight would be to separate this a little bit, if you wouldn't mind this advice, but look at this as a task for staff in the next 2 to 6 weeks to do all the research of what you're asking for and come back. Because we can always modify, delete, change programs during the budget year. So let me finish. So it's not a problem with that. Your motion I could accept your motion to task staff to come up with this information and have a meeting in 3, 5, 6 weeks, whatever it requires, but act tonight positively on both the FY26 budget ordinance and the CIP. So that's what I would suggest, if we could just shift it a little bit and stick to the business at hand with the CIP and with the budget, and then add your request for information in the very near future. That's my suggestion.
I appreciate that, Councilman. But what I'll say to you is that there will be CIP spending in this fiscal year for projects next year. And so I just want to make sure that we don't, as my folks used to say, I don't want us to throw good money behind bad money on something. And so I would like for us to simply pause till the next council meeting, and before then, get a look at what they are, and we can do that in closed session. I don't have a problem with Byron and them presenting that in closed session. But I think we need to do that because what we do tonight, I simply feel we will not be being as fiscally responsible as we can without my feeling is we do not have all the data. Because again, we have made decisions that impacts the city's finances since the budget was made. And so I'm simply saying we go on, I just want to pause that, make sure we look at that, and it gives us a chance to review that, but also it stops us from spending any additional money that we may not want to spend at this time. And so in 2 weeks, we'll get a chance to just look at all the impacts that the other projects, and when they all come together, what they will do to the city's fiscal position. And that's what I'm asking by making this motion to simply pause on the CIP, have them provide that information, and we do it as soon as the next council meeting. That's my ask. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Could I ask staff a question relative to what you just said?
Go ahead.
No. I think it's a valid question. You're talking about pausing spending on the current fiscal year CIP projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
The question I have of staff is, how much of what's in the current CIP for this fiscal year are monies that are obligated or contracts that are signed, but the money isn't spent? Or, you know, that's a dynamic that we have to include if what you're talking about.
Agree.
You can't just pause something if we've already signed a contract just because we haven't paid them.
You can, and a part of that, what I asked on the report, was that we have any impacts that are coming up. Now, I was hoping we could do it in a week. I'm not sure that there are any things that we have coming up that we've already been obligated to. City attorney would tell you we have to do it.
That's right.
We're already obligated. So putting a pause on that, if there's a legal issue, we don't have any choice.
That's right.
And that's going to be part of the report. And I'm not sure we have anything that is so mandated that we need to do it within the next 2 weeks. But that's why I'm asking the city to do that. And the city attorney will be able to tell us if there's something that we need to get done immediately that will impact us in a negative way. I just want to make sure that we look after the city financial situation with everything included. That's all I'm asking. And I, again, take offense to any council members who belittle us and say things that make this council not worthy of who we are. Now, having said that, any other questions? If not, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? No. Abstentions?
Abstention.
Mayor, can we get a roll call vote, please? For clarity, for the record.
Would I like a roll call vote?
Maybe do one, please, for the record.
Would I like a roll call vote, was what you were asking me?
She's asking.
Can we do one, please?
But that's what you're asking me, if I, as the chair, would like a roll call vote, correct?
Sure, yes.
Yes, okay. Yes, I'm fine with that, if we'd like to do a roll call vote.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Estev?
Nay.
Councilmember Rogers?
Abstain.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolfley?
Nay.
Councilmember Brady?
Nay.
Councilmember Truesdale? Aye. And Debbie Madu? Aye. And Mayor Adams?
Aye.
Motion fails.
I couldn't hear you, so everybody can hear.
Motion fails.
Okay, thank you. We will now move on to the next item that we were talking about, and that's the adoption of the amended ordinance 0425 and amended resolution R1825, the adoption of fiscal year 2026 budget and fiscal years 2026 and 2031 capital improvements program. This is eligible for action tonight, and we will be taking it on. Yes, city attorney.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Mayor. These two items were placed together, but the ordinance is going to need a vote, and then the resolution is going to need a separate vote.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, as we separate that, we will do the resolution, and then we will do the ordinance. Well, let's do the ordinance first and then the amended resolution. Is that correct? All right. This is eligible for action. Do we have any speakers?
There's not a public hearing for this item. There's no public hearing for this item.
There's no public hearing?
No, not at this time.
Okay, but, okay.
Mr. Mayor?
At this time, we'd like to hear a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move for adoption of amended ordinance 0-4-25.
Second?
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, and let's do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Estev? Aye. Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolfley?
Aye.
Councilmember Brady?
Aye.
Councilmember Truesdale? Aye. Councilmember Ndeba Madu? Nay. Mayor Adams?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-1.
I will now entertain a motion for us on the the resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for approval of amended resolution R-18-25.
It's been moved
Second?
and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please respond with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same favor? Would you like to do, maybe we should do a roll call vote again and keep consistent.
Councilmember Estev? Aye. Councilmember Rogers? Aye. Mayor Pro Tem Wolfley?
Aye.
Councilmember Brady?
Aye.
Councilmember Truesdale? Aye. Councilmember Ndeba Madu? Aye. And Mayor Adams?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-1.
We will now move on to the new business, the legislative session wrap-up. A representative from Cornerstone, the city's lobbyist firm, will brief council on items from the legislative session.
Thank you, Mayor Adams and members of
Good
the council.
evening.
Good evening, good evening, good evening.
How are you?
I am so good. I'm also
good.
Christopher Dews from Cornerstone Government Affairs. Joining me today is Patrick Hogan and Dolores Sanchez Ificauche from our staff. Happy to be here to give a very brief highlights of the legislative session and things that we believe will be impacting the city of Bowie. So we're gonna basically talk about three specific things, that is budget, revenues, and policy. And again, these are items that we believe are important for the city and things that you guys should be aware of and considering. And we're happy to take questions after the presentation has concluded. So first and foremost, we're going to discuss the City of Bowie's racetrack funding. I'm going to pass it to Dolores Sanchez.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us. So as you can see from our slides here, one of the biggest things that we worked on this session was maintaining in the budget $6.2 million that's going to be allocated to Prince George's County and the County Council. And that actually is for two things, and one of which is the Bowie Racetrack, and the other is Rosecroft Raceways. So those dollars now will go to the county once the fiscal year 26 budget is released on July 1. And then you'll be able to start the process with the county to draw those dollars down. But as you all probably know and understand, it was a very difficult budget year for the state. It was at times contentious with lots of different programs that folks were vying for, and we wanted to make sure those dollars were protected. They were placed in the budget by Governor Moore, and we were able to keep them in and also passed out with the budget. So,
Thank you.
sure.
I'm up next, right? All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council
Good
members.
evening.
Thank you for allowing us to be with you this evening. I will be brief and just cover, my portion is really on the taxes and fees, the new taxes and fees that were enacted, and we'll just talk about it at a very high level. You can see what we have listed there. I won't go line by line, but I'll cover some of the big things. Starting with personal income tax increases, which we're targeting higher income earners. There will be two new tax brackets for fiscal year 25, or sorry, for calendar year 25. For those over an annual income over 500,000, the new rate will be 6.25, and for those with an annual income over 1 million will be 6.5, and both of those are up from the current highest rate, which is 5.75. There will also be a 2% capital gains tax for residents with incomes over 350,000, and they will limit itemized deductions for incomes over 200,000. They also, the BRFA, the Budget Reconciliation and Financing Act, allowed counties to tax income at 3.3%, up from 3.2%. A few other items that they enacted in the BRFA, the Budget Financing and Reconciliation Act, were some targeted tax increases, several sales tax increases, including a 3% sales tax on information technology and data services. So companies that provide those services will have to pay that tax. 6% sales tax on vending machine purchases. And then they increased the tax on recreational cannabis from 9% to 12%. And then on sports betting from 15% to 20%. You can also see they made some adjustments to a few different tax credits there. Another big fee item that they targeted was for vehicles. They increased the vehicle excise sales tax to 6.5% from 6%. There's a new sales tax for rental vehicles of 3.5%, and they doubled the titling fee to 200%. Just wanted to highlight or wanted to point out that The effective dates for most of these is July 1st, except for the income taxes, which will cover all of 2025. I'm only supposed to talk about taxes, but I did want to also mention a big part of the budget and the financing of the budget was, of course, cost shifts to local governments to the tune of about $145 million. Big portion of that was teacher costs, teacher pension shift costs. So I will stop there.
Thank you, Patrick. On the policy front, two pieces of legislation that we were monitoring and watching on behalf of the city. The first one is the Protect Our Federal Workers Act. This bill does three major things, and it's in response to the Department of Government Efficiency, the federal level, and the cuts that we saw come down since January the 20th. So the bill specifically provides funding in the tune of $5 million from Maryland's Rainy Day Fund to go to what is now known as the, get the exact name right, Federal Government Employee Assistance Loan Fund, and it's funding loans, non-interest loans, no interest loans for Maryland federal workers who were either laid off or had their wages reduced due to a closure, relocation, or mass layoff of a federal agency. And it also goes to help those experiencing hardship. This would be on top of any type of unemployment insurance the individual will be getting. And of course, again, it is a no interest loan. That is the first piece, the funding for federal workers. The second piece involves empowering the Attorney General's office to investigate, commence, and prosecute or defend any civil or criminal suit on behalf of state workers who work for the federal government based off of the actions of, as I mentioned, the layoffs that were occurring. And the last thing that it does is it creates an expedited hiring process through the Department of Budget and Management at the state level so that federal workers who have the skill sets that can take certain state positions that are vacant will have an expedited process in doing so. Part of that expedited process for hiring, after, of course, the state takes care of themselves, there's also an additional clause in there that local governments will have access to those same federal workers in an expedited process as well. So again, that is funding to support those who have been experiencing hardship. That is funding for the Attorney General's office to prosecute the federal government on behalf of those who have experienced that same hardship, and then an expedited process to help those state workers. Again, I'm happy to answer questions about this bill at the end. And then the last piece of legislation has to do with youth service bureaus. This was recommended by, I believe her name is Ms. Wilcox, who works for the city. And what this bill simply does is it is a coordination between the Department of Juvenile Services with regards to reporting for youth service bureaus. I believe there is one at Bowie High School, and it is designed to reduce delinquency when it comes to juvenile action. So this is just a reporting mechanism to kind of highlight the work that youth service bureaus do. And I believe the long-term intent is to ensure that they stay fully funded. So that includes the two big pieces of legislation that have passed that we believe the city of Bowie should be aware of. And now we are going to open it up to, oh, I apologize, I have one more slide for other legislation.
Just one more. All right, we just wanted to talk a little bit about the blueprint. That's going to provide $9.8 billion in state public school support. One thing I will point out here is the 3-year pause on collaborative time. So for fiscal year 26, that would have been a $15 million cost to the county, but with the pause, pushing it out to fiscal year 29, that was not something that the county would have had to account for. So that has been pushed back. Two bills that we did want to highlight is, the first one is the municipal annexation bill. There was several other annexation bills that were introduced just to kind of respond to some proposals that came out of Prince George's County, but ultimately this is the only one that passed. And these three bills that I'm talking about have all been signed by the governor already. But this particular bill allows the Maryland Department of Planning to get a copy of the annexation resolution, so that helps them to have that information on hand. Currently, they have to go seek that out before they can make any plans or determine what has been done. So instead of them seeking it out, they will now get it in advance. And there are two bills that affect the WSSC, Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission. House Bill 1195 alters the membership and operations of WSSC. It puts some requirements on one of the Montgomery County members. They have the 3 members, and one of their members has since been changed to require, to require that the director of Montgomery County Department of Environmental Protection is on the membership. And House Bill 1230, that bill has some differences that requires the Prince George's County Council to grant full or partial exemptions from the WSSC system development charge. So those bills have all been signed into law and will be effective on July 1.
Okay, if we could, there are a couple of things I'd like to open up with. First, thank you for a job well done for us in the climate that we were dealing with. I really appreciate all the conversations and all you did and all the hard work that went to it. And I probably can share with you how much I appreciate all that you did. Having said that, there are two things I'd like for, first, with that annexation, the state is not looking to do anything, they just want the information, correct?
Correct.
And so it's just about providing information?
Correct.
Okay, good. And I would ask you if you could summarize again, real short, the 3 things, because we have such a large federal workforce here in the city of Bowie, I'd like if you could just quickly state those again so that those who may be listening or watching could understand that there is help from the state level and what they are, just kind of quickly, if you don't mind.
Number one, it provides funding to those who have been laid off or affected by the federal cuts. It's the first thing. The second thing, it allows the Attorney General to support any individual who has been laid off in a legal matter with regards to the federal government. And the third thing is it allows an expedited hiring process for federal workers to come work for the state using the same hiring metrics. It's basically the big 3.
Hey, thank you very much, and I think that's important for everybody to know.
Indeed.
All righty.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I will see any other questions from Councilmember Wanda Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that there was a bill that was passed around the transparency of impact fees for Prince George's County, and I think it came, Ron Watson did something? It was my understanding that, I had the bill, I don't have it with me now, that it was something passed, Senate bill, that actually provided municipalities, I guess, within Prince George's County to have transparency to how the impact fees that they receive from developers were used by the county.
Yeah, I think we would like to get that specific data and information, and then we would be happy to follow up with you on that one.
All right, that'll be fine. I had it at one point, I don't have it now. The other question is, now that we know we're getting the 6.2 million from the state, we know it's going to go to the county. I mean, you guys, do you take on some lobbying efforts around that just to make sure that we get the most we can get for all that we need to have done?
Yeah, I'll let Delora speak to that.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, what was that? I was looking for the bill. I did find the bill. If you had a question about the bill that Senator Watson sponsored. Yeah, it passed. So by July 1, counties have to report information regarding the collection and use of development impact fees, surcharges, and excise taxes to the Maryland Department of Planning. And also, and then the next year in 2026, those counties must also report to MDP identifying any local laws that authorize the collection and expenditure of development impact fees, surcharges, and excise taxes. Each time a county enacts or amends a local law that authorizes the collection and expenditure of development impact fees, they then have to notify MDP.
Okay, thank you.
Now, as I was looking at it, I missed your
I
question.
was just asking about the 6.2 million and whether or not you guys are going to be out there lobbying to make sure we get as much as we need for what we need it for.
So
with Prince George's County.
So with the council, so it does sit with the council and the county executive currently. We're not registered for you on the county level.
Oh, okay.
Or with the council, but we can certainly advise, and we're happy to do so to provide advice and instruction on how that can be processed.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, any other council members' question? No questions? Okay. Thank you very, very much. And again, I appreciate all that you did. Next, we'll have adoption of Resolution R 25-25, adopting the fiscal year 2026 annual action plan and proposed projects for the Community Development Block Grant Program.
Good evening, council members and mayor. Thank you for hearing from me this evening about the annual action plan for the City of Bowie Community Development Block Grant Program.
Could you speak a little louder into
Yes.
the mic, please? I'm sorry.
So just a quick overview of the Office of Grant Development and Administration and the roles that we take in the city. We do grant research and we write grant applications in collaboration with the various department heads. We also manage grants that are awarded, and we also manage various projects that are grant funded. We manage the CDBG program, which includes the Workforce Development and Life Skills Training Program. We also manage the First Time Homebuyers Assistance Program, and also the Fair Housing Administration and Training for the city, for both city staff and also for the county and other municipalities, as well as the Single Family Housing Rehab Program, which are also part of the CDBG program. And we also work on implementing affordable housing policy in the city in collaboration with developers, as well as emergency and homelessness response in the city. Here's just a few selected grant programs that we are managing for the city at the moment or have managed recently. And the Community Development Block Grant Program has been a part of HUD since the Nixon administration, and they develop viable urban communities, provide decent housing, expand economic opportunities, and address at least one of the national objectives, which are to benefit low or moderate income persons, eliminate slums and blight, or fulfill an urgent community need. Eligible activities include acquisition, demolition, or rehabilitation of real property, construction of public facilities, public services, assistance to community-based development organizations, economic development activities, energy conservation and renewable energy activities, as well as planning and administration for these programs. The planning process for CDBG is a 5-year cycle. We recently completed a consolidated plan outlining what we would accomplish in those 5 years that was approved by the council 2 years ago. So we are 2 years into the current con plan. Every year we do an annual action plan, which is what this report is about, stating what we're going to do with the resources we receive from CDBG, if we're able to leverage additional funds, which occasionally we have in the past, specifically with community legacy grants, and what the performance measures will be for those activities. And then at the end of the year, we create a report on what we did do called the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, or CAPER, that goes over what we were able to achieve, what the goals and outcomes were, and if there were any issues in performing the programs. As part of developing the con plan, there's a citizen participation process. We poll our residents. We also have public meetings and hearings and get feedback from the community about what they think the most recent and emergent needs in the community are. And they can respond to us about our past CDBG programs and give us feedback. The 3 current programs for our CDBG program are a Single Family Housing Rehabilitation Program, which provides grants to City of Bowie homeowners to make improvements on their homes. This can be something major like replacing a roof or updating appliances, replacing doors and windows. This started as a program for seniors, which allowed people to age in place and also improve the housing stock in the city. And over the past 10 years, I believe it's been, we have rehabilitated hundreds of units in the city of Bowie for homeowners both improving the quality of life for the individual recipients of the grant and also improving the housing stock overall in the city. We also have community partnerships, most closely with the Bowie Emergency Food Pantry and Aid Fund. We provide them with funding so that they can provide assistance to citizens who are in need in the city. And we also work closely with DHCD, both at the county and at the state government. So the single family rehab grant, as I mentioned, is the bulk of our CDBG funding that provides grants to homeowners to improve their homes. And also the emphasis is on efficiency so that they can decrease their utility costs as well. The second purpose that we use CDBG funds for is our workforce development program. In the past, this has consisted of a life skills, STEM careers, and innovation and entrepreneurship courses that are free and open to the public, focusing on youth aged 15 to 25. So people who are just about to join the workforce are still making decisions about what kind of training and career they want to pursue, so they can make informed decisions about what kind of careers they want to be pursuing and also have a better understanding of the economy that they'll be graduating into and the different roles that they will encounter as they pursue whatever career they choose. We are working to expand this programming for all residents. As the council approved a year ago, a collaboration with Employer Prince George's that will be opening up it's called an American Job Center Community Network, AJCCN. Employer Prince George's operates 2 of them, and they are opening various satellite labs around the county hosted by municipalities, and Bowie will be hosting one. We are working on that right now. And when that lab is open, we will be having more programming running through the lab. At the moment, we are doing our programming, well, we were doing it in person until 2020, then we moved to a virtual model, and now we're moving back to in-person events this year. And once the job lab is open, we will be able to have more and regular trainings there. Instead of just doing a single class in the spring or summer, we're going to do ongoing programming. So that's very exciting, and I'm happy to be moving forward with that project. And then our third CDBG activity, as I mentioned, is fair housing education. We recently completed an analysis of impediments to fair housing report, which is required by HUD, and I will talk a little bit more about that in a different presentation. But one of the recommendations from the AI report was that the City of Bowie continue our fair housing education, both, as I said, for City of Bowie employees and City of Bowie residents and realtors and general members of the public, but also we make a point of inviting municipality staff from other municipalities in the county as well as county staff so that they get regular ongoing training about fair housing and updates and changes in the law in that area. So not just the federal laws surrounding fair housing, but also Maryland law and county law, which are slightly different and cover different protected classes. This is the schedule of the annual action plan development. We started in March with public hearings to get feedback from the community, suggestions, changes that people wanted to incorporate. We did not receive any public comments, but a few clarifying questions about the programs. Then the report is made public and available on the city website for a month. We also put a hard copy at the city hall front desk. And if we receive any public comments during that period, those are incorporated into the final draft. And then this evening is our third public hearing where we present it to council for you to approve. After it's approved, we submit it to HUD. And I conclude this presentation and ask for questions.
Thank you so very much. Let me open the public hearing first. I declare the public hearing open. Do we have any speakers?
No, Mayor, we do not have any speakers.
I declare the public hearing closed. Okay, questions? Councilwoman Rogers?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I know that this plan is going into effect fiscal year 2016, a lot of it. I mean, not 2016, I'm in a whole different decade, I'm sorry. 2026. I'm making a presumption that is implied in this that federal employees, the 5,000 or so that particularly reside in Bowie, will have some opportunities to take advantage of these programs that are being offered. That's a question.
Yes, as I mentioned, we are currently literally right in the process of opening the AJCCN. It's going to be located in the Ken Hill Center. I'm doing logistics, buying items, all of that. I'm hoping for that to be ready for a grand opening within a month or two. And once the AJCCN is open, we will be gathering feedback from the community and definitely want to add programming that is directly helpful and applicable to the federal workforce. As I mentioned previously, this program is focused on youth, especially folks just graduating from high school or just about to. Obviously, that's a very different demographic than the folks who have recently been illegally terminated by the federal government. So we will be, I've been watching that situation very closely and looking for programs and other supports that will be best suited to that population, since obviously that's a very emergent need that just arose within the past few months.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Council member? See, we have no other questions, and it's open for action. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move for adoption of Resolution R-25-25, adopting the FY 2026 Annual Action Plan.
Second. It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please respond with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, motion carries. Hey, thank you very much. That was very detailed. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we will now move on to adoption of Resolution R-26-25, adopting the 2026-2030 analysis of impediments to fair housing choice. City Manager?
There's another presentation. How do I have a second presentation. It's me again.
Go right ahead.
There we go. Sorry. Yes, so as I mentioned, HUD requires municipalities and other entities that receive community development block grant funding to produce a report every 5 years called the Analysis of Impediments to Fair Housing Choice. You may be familiar with a report that was created regionally by NWCOG. The Prince George's County government elected not to participate in that joint report, so we do a separate report in conjunction with the county. We do share data with NWCOG about our the demographics and situation in the county, though, so that they can include that in their report. We are required to affirmatively further fair housing, so it's not just enough to say that you cannot discriminate against folks in Bowie with housing. We have to actively educate the community and make sure that people understand their rights and understand fair housing policy, and completing the AI is part of that obligation. The Fair Housing Act, which was passed in 1968, addresses a variety of different situations, and as I mentioned, state law in the state of Maryland and also county law has additional protections. The county very recently passed a law protecting source of income for people who are applying for tenancy in rental units, so you can't discriminate if their income is from something other than employment. And the state of Maryland also has protections for people based on gender identity. As part of our fair housing obligation, we created this report, the Analysis of Impediments to Fair Housing Choice, in conjunction with the county, which looks at demographic and housing data, looks at local policies and laws related to housing, and identifies any barriers that might exist for housing choice for people here in the county and the city, and also develop individual fair housing action plans for both the county and the city to help reduce or eliminate those barriers. Obviously, the county has a much longer list of obligations and goals than the city of Bowie does, but we comply with the recommendations that are in the report. Fair housing is the right to choose housing free from unlawful discrimination, and everyone is the member of a protected class. You cannot discriminate based on race, color, religion, national origin, sex, disability, or family status. And as I mentioned, in Maryland, you can also not discriminate based on sexual orientation, gender identity, or marital status. And Prince George's County includes occupation, political opinions, personal appearance, sexual orientation, and also, it's not on here, but source of income. Summary of the findings of the AI. The city of Bowie has aged slightly since the previous AI, which was completed in 2020, which was an update on the AI that we had conducted previously, because HUD had some notes that they wanted us to address. This is consistent with the county, but again, we're kind of aware that Bowie is slightly different demographically from Prince George's County in general. All of these charts are in the report. This is just a selection of highlights. The persons with disabilities in the county, we did not have data for the 2010 report, but for 2022, we had a slightly higher percentage than Prince George's County, or actually, sorry, a slightly lower percentage. And some of this is related to the city of Bowie having a more aged population, and with age, obviously, there are often attendant disabilities as people age. Poverty, again, in Prince George's County, it's far exceeds City of Bowie. We are, as we know, a fairly well-established community, and we stand out compared to both the DC general area and Prince George's County in that respect. There's also sections of Prince George's County, these are called recaps, racially or ethnically concentrated areas of poverty. This is based on census data. There are 7 tracts in the county that are considered recaps. None of them are located in the city of Bowie. The previous report, there was 1 located in the city of Bowie, but based on demographic changes and shifts, that is no longer the case. Household income is also increased. The city of Bowie is the dark blue line at the top. As I said, as we know, we stand out a little bit from the county and the general DC area with slightly higher incomes. And our income has increased over time and commensurate with trends in the region. However, rental costs have also increased, as we are also all aware. And the city of Bowie's cost of housing is substantially more than the county and the DC general area. So affordability in Bowie is still limited, even though we do have a lot of folks who have solid incomes here. Housing type, this is not a surprise to anyone. City of Bowie has quite a few single-family detached homes compared to the county and the region, and not as many large multifamily units. Housing tenure, again, City of Bowie stands out. Unsurprisingly, people tend to be owner-occupied houses, fewer renters here in the city. Again, relates directly to us being mostly single-family housing and having not a lot of apartments or density here in the city. Dissimilarity index, this is showing basically how the community is integrated or not integrated. Bowie is actually fairly more integrated in terms of racial and ethnic demographics than the rest of the county. We tend to have a lower segregation rate, and people are just, there aren't specific areas that are specific to one group or another. It's just more distributed in the city than it is in the county. So the Fair Housing Action Plan, as I mentioned, the county has quite a long list. We just have 2. We have 2 goals. Number 1 is the same as previous, increase awareness on fair housing issues, rights, and responsibilities, which we continue to do with our education programming. In the past, we've had 1 presentation in April. Occasionally, we're able to have a second presentation in the summer, but we would like to do more and extended public presentations because we've received positive feedback whenever we hold them, and we do think that there is a need for more education about what people's rights are when it comes to housing. And our second goal is to try and provide opportunities for a greater range of housing types within the city. As I mentioned, the city is disproportionately heavy on single-family housing and low on density. And also that the city has worked with developers to try and have affordable housing unit programs with the new developments that are coming online. And the report recommends that that's an initiative that we should try to continue if we are able. So the next steps are for you to consider the AI, which we are doing right now. Prince George's County Council is also approving the AI at the moment. Once it's approved, we will submit it to HUD separately from the county. It is the same report with the same information, but ours is obviously incorporating our public process and whatever comments we receive, whereas the county incorporates their public comments from their process. And we will be reporting on the progress on our fair housing goals in our capers. As I mentioned, that's the end of year report we do for the CDBG programs. Over the process of adopting this report, we had stakeholder outreach, we had public meetings. One of them was hosted here in the city in October. We also reviewed and analyzed the progress the city made since the previous report and updating what we have achieved since then. We're currently in the public comment period, and we will be submitting to HUD once it is approved by council. I pause again for questions and comments.
Hey, thank you so very much. That was great. At this time, I'd like to declare the public hearing open. Do we have any speakers?
No, Mayor, we do not have any speakers.
I will now declare the public hearing closed. Council members, any questions? Council members, any questions?
No.
Okay. Oh, Councilman Brady?
Thank you, and I'm not really asking for you to look in a crystal ball, or Mr. Buggs to look in a crystal ball, but is there any sense for what the next 6 to 9 months is going to, how it's going to impact these things like the Community Development Block Grant or the Fair Housing Act?
I'll let Mr. Buggs take that. No, I'm taking it.
I figured the astrophysicist would want to
Debates continue on the Hill. Things are being voted on and debated and voted down and then voted back up in committees as we speak. My crystal ball is as clear as mud on this. A lot of people's sacred cows are being gored right now. I don't know how focused CDBG and HUD funding is. There are larger and more talked over issues with the federal budget, but there are currently attempts being made to change this funding structure. I do not know where those attempts will lead. I am not the federal government.
Let me add to that the answer more specifically is that the entire role of the federal government through HUD is being gutted as it relates to protecting everybody from anything. And as a result, we're poised to respond.
Right.
It does not affect state or county law. So as what we do, we still have to pursue this role of Fair Housing Administration. But right now, 1/3 of all of the fair housing staff has been fired at HUD. Protections of people of all kinds, in addition to funding for all these programs, are being gutted every day. So we are just waiting to see what happens. But we still have the responsibility requirement to pursue state and federal fair housing law for the state and the county.
Okay. With regard to the funding, are these programs adaptable enough that if the federal government suddenly cuts funding, we aren't on the hook for obligated funds as a city?
Well, there's several answers to that question, but the important one is that because we've been in this program for some time, we've developed relationships and created programs that are providing funding from other sources. For instance, the services we're going to be providing through the Workforce Training Program, we're getting through Employer Prince George's, which only receives 15% of its funding from the county.
Right.
So of the $10, $20 million they get, the total budget, a very small part is from the county, a large part for the feds, and they will continue that because we need to continue to develop the workforce. So principally, a lot of the unfunded mandates will come to you through the police department and other agencies and transportation, where they're going to be making major cuts and some other challenges to our ability to get grants and to perform. But so far, we've been very good at developing relationships and collaborating with other entities, but I think we're going to be okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, at this time, I'll call for the vote. For the motions.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for adoption of Resolution R-26-25.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please respond with an aye. Aye. Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, the motion carries. And Mr. Boggs and you, thank you so very much. That was a great presentation, and I think it gave us a lot of information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
I will entertain
thank
a
you.
motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Before we adjourn, I'd like to say thank you to staff and everyone for all of your support this evening and all you accomplish every day, and thank you again. I'll call for the vote.
What's that? We forgot announcements. We forgot next Monday is Memorial Day at Veterans Park. Memorial Day.
Oh, yes. As I talked about the parade, also Monday is Memorial Day at the park with the wreath laying.
Yes.
And I just want to make sure to the Veterans Park here in Bowie and make sure that everybody knows about that.
Thank you.
Having said that, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please respond with an aye. Aye. Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, motion carries. We are adjourned for this evening. And again, thank you, everyone.